Hello, this is Dominic from the Jack and Dom Radio Show, a weekly sports radio program, and although we broadcast on professional hardware, we do record our show mostly on my laptop, and sometimes I don't press record right when we start. Some shows will start right in the middle of a topic. Regardless, this show is a work of love and passion for sports with raw and transparent opinions between the two of us. So I hope you all enjoy.
Doing today?
I am okay.
You doing okay? I mean, yeah. I'm doing pretty good. Obviously, a lot of homework. To do.
As always.
But that being said, the opinions said on the show do not reflect the opinions of this radio station or the university. That being said, good evening, everybody. A lot of stuff to talk about. A very, very, very packed weekend, or last weekend. Especially with basketball, which we'll definitely get to in just a sec. According to the NMU Wildcats website, 11,500 people showed up for yesterday's basketball game against Michigan State. How was, before I get into my perspective on the game, Jack, how did you enjoy all that?
I did. The atmosphere was a blast, and I actually got picked to do a halftime game, which my performance was embarrassing, but that's a moment of a lifetime.
Halftime game?
Yeah, wait, I played Lightning in halftime, Dom.
Was it the musical chairs, or was that something else? I wasn't paying attention.
Wow.
Okay, so...
You were probably in the tunnel.
Maybe I was, yeah. Okay, yeah, I was.
That was right after the players ran off the field. I was surprised you didn't see me because I saw you run off the field.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, and apparently one of my professors who I'm close with, who also watches all the sports games and stuff, didn't know I was one of the team managers for the men's varsity team.
I forgot about that.
And so you forgot. So I got to be a small part of the basketball game yesterday. And so, after the game, he comes up to me on the court and it's like, I didn't know you were involved in the team somehow. But yeah, it was electrifying. I do feel like the crowd could have been louder. It wasn't as loud as I wanted it to be compared to the Saginaw Valley State postseason game 2 years ago. Was insane.
It was just tough because, especially in the second half, NMU was not playing well. So we were
relatively speaking.
Yeah, well, relatively speaking. So we were like, what do we cheer for? And the band, no shade to the band, but this was not their brightest moment.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when they did the meow, it's really annoying.
I didn't hear it. I probably would. I was focused on the players, although
I just feel like they lacked energy compared to normal, and so it didn't really rile up the student section as much as normal.
True, and there were a lot of Michigan State fans. There's a lot of Michigan State fans all across the UP.
Noise, yeah.
But also, I think the crowd is just old. It was mostly older people, and they will tend to be less energetic than students. Yeah. That being said, I've been to the Breslin Center for games. Right. I've seen older people go crazy.
Yeah, it's just
games.
There was okay, we can cheer for this rebound and this 2-point shot, but then State would drill a 3 and the statewide fans would get loud
and dunk.
They were doing a lot of highlight reel plays. NMU played well. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm really impressed. I thought they'd lose by 40, but
Tech would.
Okay.
But we're biased. We'll say that.
No, I was impressed by how they played, but I was there just wasn't much to cheer for. It's okay, nice floater, but I'm not screaming my head off.
Yeah, our point guards weren't used to the big man, their opponent's big man being so big, and so they try to do a layup and they just come out of nowhere.
I was guys, why are we trying to push in the paint when we are 6 inches shorter than all their dudes?
Yeah.
You got to win on the 3, got to win on the floater. You can't try and dunk or lay up.
You can't go in the paint. And there were some plays that NMU has where someone would come up an alley-oop dunk, but the state players are used to plays like that. Right. And so like I think the first two plays, the pass would just go up in the air and then just float away. Those plays were someone running up around the outside, coming in, jumping, grabbing the ball and dunking it.
Right.
And Michigan State's used to something like that. So obviously they had someone like get in the way of that path. And so a lot of D2 teams are not used to something like that. So expect more plays like that later this season. This game was kind of like I wouldn't say personal in a bad way, but like as someone who is from Lansing, like I've lived in Lansing for over half my life, and so as Michigan, like I've been a Michigan State fan. Like I said, for over half my life, I've been following the football team and the basketball team, and I know one of the players on the team, not currently, but Travis Trice, who is a former point guard of the Michigan State Spartans back in 2015. This was around the time I used to work for a phone repair shop in the Meridian Mall, which was east of East Lansing. And he was actually one of the customers that needed his phone fixed, and I was there to fix his phone.
Nice.
And so that's how I got to know him. And then I think it was a few months later, because I only had that job for a month, and they had to let me go for reasons. I don't know. It wasn't my fault.
Regardless,
this story actually.
It hasn't ended. It hasn't ended.
Oh, this story has an end. Okay, so this job that I took was it was like late summer, early fall. Because of that, and this was my senior year of high school, I didn't do soccer my senior year. A lot of my friends who were on the soccer team who also played basketball, soccer was their main sport, got really upset at that. They were not happy that I didn't do soccer with them my senior year. So keep that in mind. A few months later, I went to a place called Zap Zone. I don't know if you're familiar with Zap Zone.
I'm Gen Z. We know what Zap Zone is.
Well, I'm millennial. I know what Zap Zone is too.
Not all millennials.
For those who don't know, Zap Zone is it's kind of like Dave and Buster's, like a small version of Dave and Buster's.
It's laser guns,
laser tag, bouncy house, arcade, glow golf.
Anyway, get to the point.
Well, the whole basketball team was there.
Oh. MSU?
The entire MSU basketball team was there, including Denzel Valentine. I don't know if you know him. He was in the NBA for a while.
Right.
All the guys. And if you were to put me, like height-wise, amongst the team, I'm going to be the third shortest guy.
Right, and you're tall.
And I'm 6'3", yeah. And so Travis Trice was there. And I actually took a selfie with him. I still have that to this day. But yeah, so going back to going my senior year for basketball, only 3 people signed up for the basketball team. And the and when I went back to my friends, they're still my friends, but I don't know. But They told me, well, you didn't do soccer, and so they're not going to sign up for basketball, which they kind of threatened to do early on, but I didn't think that would actually happen. But I had explained to them, I had a job, I was working, It didn't matter. I didn't have a senior year in basketball, and any of the offers that I did have kind of just washed away, because I did get offers from D3 schools down in Lower State, especially Albion. Albion was the school I wanted to go to. That didn't pan out. So yeah, fast forward to wanting to go to Northern. I wanted to go to Northern, obviously have a fresh start, and but also really wanted to do something in basketball. Like I actually wanted to do something about it. Intramural, and then I tried to do club sports, which unfortunately did not pan out. But it's not the end of that. I'll bring that up maybe a few weeks from now for some stuff we might do with Michigan Tech. But having the opportunity to be a team manager for the varsity team was actually like pretty sweet. And considering that the first game that I was involved with in some way was against my hometown school. It can't get any better than that.
And it's those jersey ceremonies. So
it was,
It's an extra special game.
It was very extra special game.
I mean, I thought it was great that we were able to get that many people out to a game. It's great for the city of Marquette. It's great for NMU. Even Izzo mentioned it. Like, we got to have more of these. We got to, get those fun things back up and running. We got to, rebuild the city of Marquette post-COVID. Izzo's speech was just great.
Yeah, and, and last thing, it was an honor to play against one of the best teams in college basketball. It's one thing to lose, but it's another thing to lose by the best doing their best, and that's what that was. And so there's nothing to be said about. They're one of the best D1 schools in the nation, and we kept it within 20.
Exactly, which was really impressive.
Yeah.
And I'll say, too, the fact that Izzo, during the first time out, where they were kind of like, we're going to retire his jersey later, goes, we got to lock up, our team's not playing well. I was like, to say that against NMU, like, he's kidding a little bit to kind of get the crowd excited. But, especially the first half of the game, we had it within, I think, 8 or 10 at the end of the half.
Something like that.
We kept it close. And I was really impressed, unlike transitioning our football team, which I was not impressed with.
Well, I mean, Grand Valley didn't get to 70. I mean, I thought they were.
That's a silver lining, right?
But that does extend our losing streak to 17 points. Or no, 17 points. 17 games, a school record. And on a side note, which I want to get to, NMU Barstool. My goodness, my autism's kicking in again. I apologize, folks. So on Yik Yak, I posted on the NMU Yik Yak that NMU now has a 17-game losing streak, a school record. But then also I put, and yes, they are turning off their comment sections on their social media.
Yeah, they're tired of us telling them to shut the football program down.
Yeah. And so, finally, now they do it.
No, I think it's funny, though, that they'll shut down the comments and not let us talk crap about their team, but actually doing something and trying to make this team better, that's too much effort.
It's too much.
Do that. Firing the coach, no. NIL collective, no. Better recruiting, no. Oh, but we'll upgrade all the team facilities and the turf because that's the number one priority. Now, don't get me wrong. The turf was bad.
The turf was bad.
But,
the locker rooms.
Right.
And I think there was a bunch of other amenities.
Right. I would rather you make the team better first.
Yeah. And so NMU Barstool took a screenshot of my Yik Yak post, and they said, we wouldn't know, they blocked us.
Right. That's so petty. I'm sorry. The football team blocked NMU. I'm sorry. Blocking NMU Barstool is insane. What?
Yeah.
But anyway, 17 straight losses, 49-17.
49-17.
They took their foot off the gas quite early on. Took out their starters to protect them.
Yep.
Roosevelt at home next. Our last chance for a win, but let's be real here. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so. I have my doubts. That being said, it is our last realistic chance of a win.
Watch us go on a 6-game win streak.
Oh. That would include Tech.
I'm kidding. We won't win one.
That'd be pretty cool.
Winning a game in the season would be a success at this point.
Yes, it would. And
he's about to be the first coach in school history to go winless and get fired. There's no way they keep him after 2 winless seasons, right? Right? Right.
I don't know. I can't objectively answer that question.
By the way,
I'm not the athletic director.
Did we forget our little disclaimer?
No, that was like one of the first things I said.
Oh, I missed it. Okay.
Yeah, this is our opinion. This is our opinion. Yeah.
No, I would be shocked if they don't can him if he doesn't give a single win in 2 years. That would be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And it was also the and this was not off the record conversation. Like I think I made this clear, but and I talked to the school president a few days ago after the forum that he did, which was actually pretty cool.
It was a great forum.
But I just wanted to, I asked him about it, and I told him, it's the general student opinion that you should let the football coach go. But I wanted to, I asked him, without bringing up any behind the door conversations, because I didn't want to know. I didn't want that. That would be journalistic malpractice.
Right.
But he did say that it is his opinion, as well as the athletic director's opinion, that this is, quote, unacceptable.
Right. But unacceptable means you do something about it.
Yes.
Unacceptable. You don't sit down and accept mediocrity, right?
Yes.
You don't turn to the Detroit Lions and go, well, Matt Patricia can have another year. Well, Mayhew can have another year. Well, Bob Quinn wasn't the problem.
Who was the football coach for the Browns that went 0-18 and then they kept him?
Was that Hugh Jackson?
Hugh Jackson, yeah. And then he went to the Bengals.
To be fair, though, they set that team up to fail.
That's true.
They didn't want that team to win. I mean, they didn't want him to go 0-17, or I think it was 0-16 at the time.
That's true. No team wants to do that.
But, they wanted them to get the number one pick. So they set him up for failure.
But you don't need to go 0-16 to do that.
You also had, other coaches like Brian Flores, who they basically told him, loser, you get canned.
Yeah.
This is not that situation.
Exactly.
This is you're so bad. You took a mediocre team, but a mediocre team with history. So let's say, we're not the Cowboys. We were never that good. But,
which, by the way, we'll get to later.
We'll mediocre team with history would be the Arizona Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
They should have
They're historically known to be
They
bad.
should have beat the Steelers. No, they've been mediocre, not bad.
Okay.
They should have beat the Steelers in that Super Bowl. They've been around since the 40s. I think they won a few championships before the NFL came into existence. They've had some good stretches in the early 2010s, early 2000s. They've been mediocre. They've never been as bad as the Browns or as bad as the Lions when the Lions were bad. They've been mediocre, right?
Yeah.
NMU since the title in the 80s and some early success in the 90s. Since the turn of the century has been mediocre.
Yes.
We were definitely not good.
There was...
But we weren't the basement either. We lost to Tech every year. But we still, got a few conference wins every year, got 5 or 6 wins. Not good. But we weren't the bottom of D2. We are now the bottom of D2. I cannot think of a team that's worse than us right now. I'm sure there is. And you're going to look it up to prove me wrong.
No, I'm actually curious.
I think we might actually...
What other teams
I don't know what the metrics will say, but we might actually be the worst team in D2 now.
Well, give me...
Does anyone else have a 17-game losing streak? I don't think so. Well,
Virginia West, the Concord Post, Adams State.
Well, I'll let you talk about that quietly. While you do that, I want to bring up the hockey team because I was fouled. I didn't get the chance.
Actually, Did you
find them?
Can I just mention one more thing about the football team?
Yeah.
So I made a comment, and I brought this up to you. Some of you might be aware of this, and I'm obviously not going to tell anybody to do anything, especially when it comes to signing petitions. But I think it was last week or at least a few days ago. I don't know what I think it was just on my phone, and I came across a petition someone started a petition to get the football coach fired. Oh yeah, it was on Yik Yak. Someone posted a QR code on Yik Yak.
I think
and so I make a comment about it on the NME Barstool Instagram page from that screenshot, and someone replied to my comment saying that something similar to this happened in 2002. The NMU football players in 2002 signed a petition to have the coach fired or they would transfer. And apparently the coach got fired.
I think it's drastically different circumstances, though. It's not the players, it's the students.
And by the way, that coach that got fired had a winning season every single season he was coaching NMU. It was slightly over 0.5.
So like a Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Top the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the situation's terrible and it really can't get much worse, but like a petition isn't going to fix that. Only
It's
action
not, yeah.
from the top level is going to do anything there. While you look at the worst programs in all of D2 at the moment, I know you're probably going through
Which, I mean, they're all, like Lake Erie is amongst them.
Well, I just want to see.
Kentucky Wesleyan.
Let me see.
Yeah, sure.
By the
go
way,
ahead.
Kentucky Wesleyan beat us.
Yes, and yet they're like right next to us.
Okay, so let's look at 0-6 teams here. And I want to look at, I think, the most important metrics, in my opinion, if I can scroll up to the top and see what these metrics actually like stand for. Do you know what these metrics stand for?
Let me see.
Like PWR.
Well, there's the rating,
Yeah.
power rating. Oops, I broke it.
Oh, is it power rank?
I think offensive, defense. I wish I can you can mouse over something and it would a little thing would pop up.
Oh, SOS is strength of schedule. Oh, and then estimated wins, estimated losses. Yeah. Okay, so let's
So we got to scroll all the way to the bottom of the D2.
Let's see. So NMU is 146. Obviously, we have almost one expected win, which feels high.
Which is Roosevelt. That's the Roosevelt.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But that's it.
Let's see here. So we are trying to see where we are on the power rankings here. We are 146 in the overall 146 in the rating, 135th in power rankings, which feels awfully high. I feel like because there's 2 and 4 teams on here.
I bet the 2 wins were against D3 schools or
Probably.
NAIA or even JUCO schools.
This is crazy to me. I thought the offense was the problem. Your metric says we're 117th, which is way better than any other team anywhere near us.
Yeah, but in the Gilead, that's still the bottom.
Right, it's bottom of the Gilead.
Gilead.
But our defense, on the other hand, is 140, which is almost bottom of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then our strength of schedule is 58. So I guess that's maybe the only reason why we're where we are.
Yeah.
Is a tough strength of schedule. But
it is, because we're in a Gilead.
as far as winless teams go, Roosevelt is winless, which will change when they beat us.
No,
it's gonna happen.
I'm gonna be there.
And some of the other teams that are this poor, I'm just gonna read through some of them. I just want to know, Dom, if without looking at this list, right? I think Northern Michigan, not everyone knows it exists, but I think a lot of people, even outside of Michigan, are aware of Northern Michigan being a thing,
yes.
right? But tell me if you've heard of any of these other schools that are lower than us. And for reference, these schools are way smaller than us, by the way. Like
Kentucky Wesleyan,
right,
have 800
right.
undergrads.
West Virginia Wesleyan, ever heard of them?
No.
Concord.
No.
Post.
No.
Adams State.
I don't think so.
Fort Lewis.
Is that in Ohio? Maybe.
I don't think so.
Maybe I have.
Erskine.
No.
Sewell Ross.
Yes, I think I have.
Okay, so you've heard of one of them.
I've heard, yeah.
My point being,
but that was probably years ago.
My point being is,
but if you keep going, I'm going to be until you get to Lake Erie.
Those are the teams that surround us. That's where we are. If you get closer to the top, the top 100, you start getting, some of the more recognizable schools, where NMU really should be. Northwood is infinitely better than we are, right? Michigan Tech is up there in the top 50, right? They're pretty comparable size and budget-wise to us. Bemidji's up in the top.
And they have just as many freshmen.
Right. Bemidji's in the top 35. Indianapolis is at 25. CSU Pueblo, is at 16. Mankato's 12. Ferris is 6, and GV is 3.
Yeah,
so I get it. Our conference is loaded, but there's just no excuse.
Well, we should have beat Kentucky Wesleyan and Alma.
Right. There's no excuse not to even beat D3 teams. There's no excuse not to be competitive against D2 teams. The bottom line is, this mediocrity is unacceptable, and something has to be happened. Something has to be done. But we've already had that conversation, so
Yes.
we'll see. We'll see if something happens, and if it does, we'll bring this up again.
Of course.
But I want to quickly bring up hockey, and then we
Yeah,
can jump back
I
to
think
soccer,
we're
volleyball. But
Yeah.
hockey played Colorado College. I believe they're the number 11 team in the country
Yes.
this weekend on the road. I was impressed by the first game, a 4-3 overtime loss, and then they got demolished 6-1 in the second game.
I made adjustments.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. Alaska Anchorage is one of the worst teams in the Division I of hockey, and also, ironically, where our coach used to be. That was his previous head coaching job. So, I expect good things this weekend, because Alaska Anchorage, again, is one of the worst teams in D1. So, this is going to be a nice bar for us. If we are truly worst in the GLIAC, like the experts say, which I disagree with, then we'll see that against Alaska Anchorage.
Okay.
If we blow out or even just comfortably beat Alaska Anchorage, then that, even though they're a bad team, gives you the indication, right, that you are not a super poor team, right? So it's a nice measuring stick, and then obviously you've got ASU, one of the best teams in D1 after that, and then the week after that is Tech. So you've got a bad team, a good team, and a rival in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
All at home, technically. Obviously, Tech is home and away, but you're playing all of them at home at least once.
Yeah.
So you got a great measuring stick against a bad team, a good team, and a rival, who, by the way, I would say is a great team this year. That'll give you a real good indication of where you're at, which I think is going to be really important for this team.
Do you think I should go to the Michigan Tech hockey game if I could get a ticket, or is it going to be too crazy?
I would try and get a student section ticket. I forget when they come out. It was like 10, 11, or 12 a.m. Or 12 p.m. the Saturday before, but I would get one if you can. I'm going to try. I will probably go. I might go to Alaska Anchorage.
You have a car? Or
I do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do.
But I live on campus, so I can walk there if I want to.
Oh, I was talking
you
about
meant
going
to
to
the away
Houghton.
game. Oh,
I was
no.
going
No,
go to the go
Absolutely
Houghton.
not.
Okay, because I've been to
I have not been to their arena, and I don't want to be.
It's older. It looks a lot older and grittier.
I don't want to be there. No,
and
that's the
darker.
point.
Like
I
there's
don't.
no
I don't.
play.
I don't want to be in Houghton during a hockey game because.
I went to the basketball game.
Did you?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
We lost. Well, our women's team
Yeah, women's team.
destroyed Tech. The Michigan Tech's offense, Thanos snapped out of existence. You remember me? Do you remember me bringing up the?
Yes.
Because they didn't score a single point.
But no, I don't.
The men's team we lost, and the Michigan Tech's football team showed up and like started chanting like just crazy chants toward the NMU team,
Yeah, I
saying
remember you
that
talking about this.
Coach Matt is balding or he's got a gut and all that stuff, you know. But yeah, and then the Tech got momentum and late in the game and won.
Right. Yeah, but
I'd do that again.
I'm not going to that. I
I'd do
will
that again.
definitely potentially go to the Anchorage game, and then I have an event like right during or after the ASU game, so I will not be going to that.
Okay.
But I'll try and go to the Tech game and maybe Anchorage if I can.
Mhm.
How about our other sports teams?
Women's
The ones
soccer.
that actually are winning.
Yeah, women's soccer went to Tech, beat a rival at Tech 2-0, bringing the overall record to 7 wins, 2 losses, 2 ties. Pretty good. Pretty good going, I think, halfway through the season now.
Right.
And then women's volleyball beats both Tech and Roosevelt. Both home games. The game at Tech, or the game versus Tech, was hard fought and was you can tell both teams are trying to play their A game, but you know Northern is a better volleyball team than Tech and end up winning. The game against Roosevelt though was very different. Our star player, Jackeen Smith, was not at the game.
Oh.
For I believe a personal matter, which was approved by the coaching staff, like it wasn't a problem. But knowing that we were playing against a really bad team, I think our coach made a lot of changes regarding starters and stuff like that.
For some players that normally don't play. Right?
Exactly. And it wasn't clicking right, I think, for the team. And it got to the point where the coach got really mad. And I think rightfully so. You could tell they were playing their C game.
Right. If you're not playing your A game, the coach is going to jump on you.
And Roosevelt actually won a set. A first
Okay,
set
that's
in like
That's not good.
many games. So Northern won 3 sets to 1.
It's good that Northern won, but you want to perform better, especially against a opponent that you know you are better than.
And 2 of the 3 sets that NMU won was within 5 or 6 points. One of the sets, it was a blowout, but the 2 sets that 2 of the 3 sets that NMU won were uncomfortably close because it could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
And before we get into the next topic, for anyone who's just joining us, this is WUPX 91.5 FM HD1 Marquette. This is the Jack and Dom radio show. We were just talking about volleyball, soccer, football, and our basketball game that happened yesterday.
Yes, absolutely. It is time to move to the national stage.
Yes.
I don't want to harp on this one too much because as much as I'm happy that they made it this far and beat those 0.2% odds, the way the Tigers series ending was really
was sad.
You brought in Skubal, you were like, A game, we got this, and then Skubal gets torn apart.
Mm-hmm.
And
in the last game, it was
scored,
a fight.
I want to say, 2 runs in like 23 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was poor. We left like 15 runners in scoring position. Like, not great. But Detroit's going to have a lot of money to spend.
Yes.
One, there's no cap space in the MLB. Because, I mean, you saw it. The Dodgers gave Ohtani $500 million, and they were like, whatever. Tigers are a big market with a lot of money. They're owned by the Illiches, even with Chris Illich, who's a little less willing to spend. They've got the money. They've got the best combination of young arms in the league, and some good veteran arms, too, with, like, Tariq Skubal, who's going to win the Cy Young if he hasn't already. I don't know what baseball awards are. But he's all but won it at this point.
Yeah.
And some other really good young arms, both relievers and starters. Got some young infielders, like best young team. You get a guy like Pete Alonso or somebody in the middle of the lineup that can get you some consistent run support. A couple more starting pitchers, someone a little bit better than our last free agent acquisition, Kenta Maeda, who has just been on IR. You could very well see them in the ALCS next year. Because this kind of reminds me of Lions, where you thought they were going to be good, but not even close to this good. They overachieved with one side of the ball. I guess it's a little different in baseball because it's not a side of the ball, but with football, you had a Lions defense that was.
I mean, you have an offense.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's one side of the ball, right? You had one of the worst hitting teams in baseball, and you had one of the worst Lions defenses in football. And both those teams made it far in the playoffs. Both of them won technically 2 playoff series, 2 playoff games, however you want to put it. And really,
I mean, baseball is considered like the most team sport.
Right.
So you can have a Hall of Fame star player and never win a World Series title. There are countless Hall of Fame players, Hall of Fame caliber players that have never won a World Series title. Some have been close, but they never were able to get it.
We have an ace, and it's time to build around him. We've got a lot of young prospects. It's time to build around them, too. Right?
Yeah.
I'm impressed we made it this far. I just think the ending was a little bit disappointing because getting to the ALCS would have been huge for the city. But you know what's huge for this city? The Lions getting revenge on Dallas. I don't know if you watched that game live.
I did.
But they were throwing screen passes to tackles to try and get them the touchdown.
Trick plays.
Yeah, right. They had the deep route to JMO. They were like, screw Dallas. We're better than them.
How about them cowgirls?
Right. we wanted revenge.
Yes.
We got revenge.
This was personal.
We could have put up 50. We could have handed them their worst home loss of all time if we wanted to.
4 interceptions, 3 from Dak, and then they put their backup QB. And they put their backup QB.
5 total turnovers. I actually think it might have been 6 by the end of the game.
Yeah. 2 in the end zone.
Right. Like clutch defensive stands, especially early. And I get it. Dallas is bad this year. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it's still Dallas.
Yes.
And, it's not the Panthers you're beating or the Jaguars you're beating, right? Dallas is still going to be an okay team. Are they probably going to miss the playoffs just because of how good the NFC North is? Yeah. Are they a terrible team? No. They've got, in my opinion, if Dak was playing a little better, CeeDee Lamb would be the best receiver in football, maybe only behind Justin Jefferson. You've got probably the second or third best edge rusher in football who is out for this game, but is normally a factor. Dak gets paid like a top 5 QB, so you've got a good QB, right? Statistically, he had an MVP caliber season last year. You've got a coach that had success in a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Like, you've got all the ingredients for success. This isn't some team that's in full rebuild mode. Dallas went into this season for like the 20th straight year as it's our year. And it wasn't. Which is comical.
The fans, though, have been doing it every year of their existence.
Right. Dallas fans are intolerable.
Yes, they are. Which I saw Dallas. I saw someone 2 weeks ago wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey at Walmart. Here.
That's funny.
They're everywhere.
That's crazy. But it was a real wake-up call for Dallas. I think it proved to the country. Everyone was like, the Lions are expected to win, but we don't think they can. I think this is proof that they could. And I think if they go, I forget if it's a home game against the Vikings.
It's not. It's a away game.
It's at,
which we're favored to win.
I don't remember the name of the Vikings field. I know they say Skull. I can't remember the name of the field. But anyway, I think it's like AT&T Bank. No,
that's Dallas.
Anyway,
AT&T Bank.
I don't know. It's an away game. What's the name of the stadium, please?
Give me U.S. Bank Stadium.
Okay, I knew it was a bank. Okay, U.S. Bank Stadium. Right. Lions got to go out there. They got to have fans. They got to play hard.
58.2% chance of winning, according to ESPN.
I think if they win that game, even if it's close, even if it's a fluke, like even if we get a last-minute pick or Jake Bates hits like a record field goal, Ravens. I'm sure you remember that.
Yes.
Regardless of how it happens, if we win that game, I think we are unquestionably the favorites.
Well, yeah.
We already are statistically, I know.
Yes.
But
I checked.
I think in the world of experts right now, on paper, we might be the favorites.
Yes.
But they think it's going to be the Vikings or San Fran. Some people are delusional and think it's going to be Philly or like the Rams or something ridiculous. But like we really, until this Dallas game, I don't think until after the Vikings game, if we win that, we won't, I don't think, be talked about as undisputed favorites.
Yeah. Now,
however, Tom Brady on that broadcast was like, I want to play for this offense. Like, I think they're the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, those comments.
He saw listening or like magic. Like, he was like,
by
whoa,
the way, if Jared Goff gets hurt, Tom, we might have a spot for him.
Well, if he becomes partial owner of the Raiders, then he is forbidden from playing on a team.
However, regardless, when you got a guy like Tom Brady, the best quarterback of all time, coming out and saying that he thinks the Lions are legitimately the best team, better than the Chiefs, better than the Vikings, better than anybody, that carries some weight.
It does.
I think this is the first time I'm going to jump the gun and predict we beat the Vikings.
Okay.
And I think when that happens, it's going to be the first time in Lions history since like the 50s, like before the NFL existed.
Not even the early 90s?
Oh, no.
Okay.
This will be the first time in Lions history where we will be the undisputed favorites to make a Super Bowl and, dare I say, win one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I joked at the beginning of this year about shaving my head because I had a little bit of faith. But like, I'm getting a little worried though. That
my girlfriend does not want me to shave my head.
I forgot you agreed to that.
Yeah, I did.
You and I are gonna be bald buddies.
Yes, we are. We're gonna take a picture together. We're gonna post it on social media.
I'll be taking hair growth hormones to cheat and get it back.
No, just let it grow naturally.
But no. All jokes aside,
it'll mess you up.
I know. I was joking. All jokes aside, though, I think if the Lions beat the Vikings, they insert themselves as the NFC favorites.
Yes.
However,
Kings of the North.
I'm a little bit worried about the Packers as well.
A little bit, of course.
I think that's going to be a tough game because not only are they our demon and they constantly ruin our hopes, but also
we've ruined their hopes too.
Now, I just want to put out there that we've got 3 of our, I would say, 4 toughest games of the entire season coming up. Lions pack. Oh, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. Yes.
Lions at the Packers. That's going to be a tough
Lions
game.
at the Vikings is going to be tough.
Yes.
Okay. Lions Titans at home, especially, is a cakewalk.
Yes.
Lions Packers on the road is going to be tough.
We're still predicted to win that game.
And I think we're going to lose either to the Vikings or the Packers. I don't know which, but I think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Basically, I'm going to go all the way up to before Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving.
Because we always lose the Thanksgiving game.
We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, I just want to go up to the game before Thanksgiving. Okay. That's, I think, what's relevant right now.
We're beating the Jaguars.
You've got 3 cakewalk wins against the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Colts. If you lose those, you immediately deserve to be eliminated from contention because all 3 of those teams are, in my opinion, bottom 5.
Yes.
Okay, so you lose any one of those games, we are no longer legitimate. However, Packers, Texans, and Vikings are all, in my opinion, like top 8 teams. So those are going to be, especially all 3 of them being on the road, it's going to be a tough stretch.
Yeah.
But it's going to help us prove whether we're legit. And we also get second to last game of the season, revenge on the 49ers. So I think you'll have your answer of, are the Lions the kings of the NFC after the November 10th game against the Texans? You take 2 out of 3 from Vikings, Packers, Texans. Yeah. Even if you take 1 out of the 3, like you beat the Vikings but lose to the Packers, and then you go on
some of my coworkers will be...
which, by the way, I think is probably likely. I don't think we're going to beat all 3 of those teams. But, you go after the Colts game, and you are currently 4-1, right? So say you beat the Vikings 5-1, Titans 6-1. We'll say we lose to the Packers 6-2, or the Vikings, right? Just one of those teams. I think you beat the Texans. They're good, but I think we can shut C.J. Stroud down. So 7-2, 8-2 against the Jags, 9-2 against the Colts. So you're 9-2 going into Thanksgiving. I'd love that. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
So
I do want to ask you though, and I think this is the elephant in the room. Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah. Let's keep this short because I don't like talking about severe injuries. Do I think it's going to be detrimental to this team? Yes. Do I think they're going to rally around this? I think yesterday's game was proof that the secondary is now good enough when Carlton Davis comes back from concussion protocol, which I think should be relatively straightforward by next week. I think when they're not holding their guys, they got to stop that, especially Arnold. But when they're not holding the dudes, they play man-to-man coverage, and they play kind of like, it's different than a Michigan defense. I should say a good Michigan defense. Screw whatever it is we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But a good Michigan defense played man-to-man coverage, said, our guys are better than you, and sent exotic blitzes. Which last year, when we blitzed, it did nothing because they just shredded us over the top for hundreds of yards, right? CD, I think, went over 200. But you've got a secondary now that I would argue is above average. Not even average, but above average. Versus last year, I'd argue we have the worst secondary in the entire NFL. So with Hutch out, it's going to hurt. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But now that you can blitz, you can start bringing extra pressure up the middle, extra pressure off the edge, corner blitzes, and you make the quarterback uncomfortable. We blew them out in the end, but the reason we won that game is the early red zone stands.
Yes.
Putting pressure on Dak every single throw.
Which, by the way, he's the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Right. But we put pressure on him every
$60 million.
We put pressure every single throw. Right?
Yes.
Even with 4-man pressures, without Hutch even, we got pressure. McNeil or Uzuruke, the guy from Washington, Uzuruke, I can't pronounce his name, I'm so sorry, but the guy on Washington, from Washington on the defensive line. McNeil, you had a couple other guys that I didn't even know were on the team get some sacks. Right, you had contributors step in. You had DJ Reader, I think, get a sack. And you had a couple blitzes that really got home. So you keep that up, and I think will it hurt? Of course. Like you can't sugarcoat that. But I think with those additional edge rushers that they've gotten some kind of depth guys at those positions, and with the stronger secondary, I don't see why the Lions cannot win the NFC. But I want to touch on a couple more Detroit sports.
Sure.
And that'll kind of close out our segment.
I did want to just double check something up there because I was watching a lot of the TV commentary about the game.
Yeah.
Especially Stephen A. Smith who hates the Cowboys, but multiple people or multiple sports analysts literally described that game as oh gosh, I almost lost my train of thought. They described it as belt to ass.
It was an absolute beatdown, and it was impressive because I don't think, maybe in your lifetime, because you're a little bit older than me, but in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen a Lions team do anything remotely resembling that, ever.
And it was the owner of the Cowboys. It was his birthday.
Right. I've never seen
the worst loss in his ownership.
I've never seen the Lions do that in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So if that's not a huge green flag to we're Super Bowl bound, I don't know what is. Okay. I want to quickly close out with
we got a few more minutes.
Pistons 2-2 so far in the preseason. Not particularly impressive. Not particularly terrible. I don't think they'll have the worst season in NBA history again. But the young guys are still developing. They brought in a few vets.
Yeah.
30 wins is maybe realistic. 25. It's going to be another rough season. Going to be watching a lot more college basketball than I am pros, especially with the changes that Michigan has made. But the point is, Pistons' young core continues to look solid. Not great. They need to make some more steps forward, I think. But definitely a little bit better than last year, I think. Growth is realistic. Probably another top 10 draft pick. You hope the draft lottery can be a little bit more kind to us this year. On the other hand, the Red Wings have kind of had a polarizing start to the season. They play at 8 tonight, so we will continue to see kind of what they are made of. But they've been okay so far. The first game against the Penguins was an absolute demolition.
Mm-hmm.
They started Ville Husso in goal, which was a questionable signing at the time and has really been poor for the Red Wings. So I was surprised to see him start in net. And they got pummeled 6-3. And it wasn't that close. He had 4 goals allowed on 14 shots. So that means he only saved 10 out of 14. That's almost a failing grade on a test, let alone for an NHL game, is absolutely awful.
Mm-hmm.
So that was so bad they sent him down. They had 3 goalies on the roster. They sent him down to Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And the Red Wings this year are doing a really good thing, though, where they use Grand Rapids. It's kind of think of it as like minor league baseball. You do a lot more of. Normally, you don't call up a lot of guys, but Red Wings are shifting a lot of guys around, trying to get starting experience in Grand Rapids and move them up and move them back down. Yeah, but I think they're doing it a lot more than they have in years past.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of young guys that are like almost ready. You can call them up for a few games, let them get that experience, but they're just not quite there yet. Then we played the Predators earlier this week on Saturday. Won 3-0. We put Cam Talbot in goal, and he saved 42 out of 42, which is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Shut out one of the best offensive teams in the NHL in the Predators. You had goals from Comper and Kopp and Larkin. Larkin, obviously the captain, but Comper and Kopp, 2 guys that are on some of the lower lines, right? We'd like to see some contributions from those lower lines, right? We'd like to spread out, spread the wealth, so to speak. So an impressive 3-0 win. They will take on one of the best teams in the NHL, the Rangers, tonight at 7 p.m., so right after the show. And then they will take on those same Rangers again on Thursday at 7:30. So you always like having best games against some of the best teams in the NHL.
Yeah.
And this will be a really good indicator of if the Red Wings can finally make the playoffs this year. They were just 1 empty net goal away from it. So look forward to seeing what they have. But I think overall, even with the Tigers lost, even with the Pistons struggle, I think Detroit sports is very much on the up right now, and I think you would agree with that, would you not?
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's fun to see. As someone who's from Lansing, I'm proud to see it. And considering that for so much of my life, considering I have family who are Cleveland, Cleveland fans, Green
Yeah, they
Bay
always rub
fans.
It was rough. It was rough.
There was something else. A team that's a different team from somewhere else.
Right.
It is finally nice to see that. Detroit crime is overall down because of it.
That happens a lot when the sports teams are good. But even with our college football teams, I think, at least for me, not being in the place that I would like it to be, it's nice to see our pro teams doing well.
Yeah.
That's a positive note to end on, even with the current performance of our football team. I think it's nice to see that Detroit sports is on the up, and especially with the Lions, we are finally being recognized and given credit for the national level for the first time in my life, and that's really exciting.
It is.
And I will conclude with that.
All right. Well, this is the Jack and Dom radio show here on WPX 91.5 FM H2 Marquette. Please stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys next week.